Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is still on systemic approach of medicine, move from different level, invisible major organic compounds to the cells and the cell structures and associated diseases, and move on to the visible tissue organs, and then move on to the organ systems. I started the last time talk about the integumentary system, which are referring to the skins and associated structures formed the system, and mentioned that the major or common or serious or minor conditions is just a brief introduction. Some of the diseases, I think in previous stream of video I already mentioned, spent some time to talk about it. And today I'm going to move on to another system, either muscular skeletal system. Actually, it's just from outside to the inside, probably under the skin are those muscles and also the bones, so they belong to the musculoskeletal systems. So it's not difficult to understand muscle, joint, bones. And in terms of the clinical significance of the diseases associated with the system, I think I have mentioned. But worth to mention is that the musculoskeletal system sounds like could be isolated conditions, not associated with any other systems, because if you imagine the muscles for the movement, the bones just support, and also the joint for movement. However, there's some beyond that isolated functions, so it's also integrated as inside of each organism, integrated with other systems. You probably think that I'm just trying to make medicine mysterious. Actually, it's not. For example, the bone, in addition to involved in the support movement, it is one of the major resource for the calcium, and also it's the major organ to maintain the homeostasis of the calcium balance in the body. And in addition to the bone marrow, you already know it, where its blood cells are generated. So in terms of how the bone is making its contributions to maintain the homeostasis of calcium, I think I've mentioned previously when I talk about the hyper or hypoparathyroidism, or talk about the vitamins, vitamin D. So then if I talk about this, you probably recall it is. So this is one example. And also the muscle. It sounds like the muscle is probably okay, then the bone is integrated with other organs, make contributions to homeostasis maintenance. That's kind of unbelievable. The muscle is also, if you recall, the muscle is one of the major organs involved in storage for the glucose in the form of glycogen. And also muscle is one of the major organs to consume glucose, which means to maintain the normal blood glucose level. In addition to muscle, of course, in addition to adipose tissue. So in diabetes type 2, the receptors on the adipose tissue or the muscular tissue cannot receive the signal from the insulin. So the insulin receptor on those organs or the receptors to uptake glucose is not normal. So then regardless how much insulin you have, this muscle cannot consume the sugar. So that's one of the mechanisms caused hypoglycemia in diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes. So if I say in this, so the muscle is also, in addition to involved in the movement, it's also important in the maintaining of homeostasis, particularly to consume glucose for the energy use. So this is a talk about the connections between one system to another. In terms of the common musculoskeletal diseases, I think I mentioned previously, the arthritis is one of the most common conditions, either caused by the degenerative change, arthritis, and also caused by the autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus caused arthritis, or arthritis could be part of the systemic conditions like sometimes the colitis, either ulcerative colitis or the psoriasis. Those, even though those are the autoimmune diseases, but still the arthritis is part of those systemic conditions. And in terms of the and also there's some infectious arthritis. I talked before, either viral or bacteria. There's some common strains of the bacteria arthritis is quite common, either in older people, in young people. I'm not going to go to that detail. If you're interested, you can search bacteria caused arthritis. You can find different strains, either part of systemic sepsis or just localized arthritis. And also the muscular condition, muscle conditions. I talk about from minor of the strain, muscle straining, bruise, and to torn or break, and also the myositis. And these are, in terms of the muscle condition, probably injury, trauma is one of the most common conditions. However, if the trauma is so severe, crushing trauma causes this muscle, a huge amount of muscle damage, will impair the kidney function, because the protein from muscular tissue will block the kidney tubules, cause this acute renal failure. So this is about the muscle conditions. I just sit here, talk about this. I did not have a handout. I did not have written anything, but I just listed the common conditions associated with this muscle and the joint. In terms of bones, actually, the osteoporosis probably is one of the most common conditions associated with the bone. Or the in children, rickets, which means there's no enough calcium, no enough vitamin D, so the bone was not very well developed, lack of strength. So these are all the conditions associated with the bones. If you're interested, you definitely can find more than what I mentioned here. But in general, and also in general, I think the fracture, the injury, probably one of the most common cause of bone conditions. I think you probably will agree with me, even though no matter whether you're in medical field or you're not in medical field. So the injury or trauma of the bone probably is one of the most common diseases, and one of the most common reason to visit clinics, either emergency or specialist or primary care. So in terms of the osteoporosis, I think I have mentioned so many times because it's common, and it seems it's not serious, but the consequences, the complications could be quite serious. Particularly if you if you search the literature, the medical case report, probably 2 or 3 decades ago, osteoporosis, which was not identified clearly, there was no treatment like the biphosphate medications. So a lot of fractures, particularly for women, pelvic fractures could be life-threatening. But now I think because of the density scanning and also the medications, decrease the mortality of this osteoporosis. So probably is another significant of the medical advancement. So this is about the another system. I'm just going to stop here. I just briefly touch everything, very broad, but not too deep. However, if you're interested, you definitely can search more information and then this video. I'm going to stop here and hope it helps, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.